Hi, I have a really exciting story that I want to share with you, and it is really special to me and my entire family. A couple weeks ago, my father received a very exciting phone call. My uncle was watching a World War II documentary entitled Witness to War: Hell in the Pacific. And all of a sudden, in the middle of his watching this documentary, my grandfather's name and voice popped on the screen and proceeded to talk for about 20 seconds on this nationally aired documentary. So when my dad heard this, he gave me a call. And initially, we thought that the interview was done years ago when my grandfather was stationed in New Guinea during World War II. But when I talked to my father, I remembered that my grandfather had participated in a project called Veterans History Project, and that he had done an interview with a high school student years ago, and this particular interview was uh, cataloged in the Library of Congress. In fact, my whole family has heard this interview. It's about 45 minutes long, and you can actually access it through a website, which I'm going to show you really quickly. So let me do a little switcheroo. So here is the website, the Veterans History Project. And what you literally would do is you would go into this little search engine. Let's see if I can do this and talk. And of course, here's my grandfather's name already. Hit go. It says no results found, but they're just teasing us. Hit search. And then you go down here and you can see that there is some kind of interview and record. So I went into this interview again after we, of course, learned of this documentary that we had no idea about. And here's all of the information. This interview was actually done in 2004, and you can see, which war he was involved in. Here's the conflict, World War II. He was a veteran. Then you go over here, and you can see that the interviewer was this gal, Natasha. She was a student from our local high school, Chico High. And then, this is very interesting, the contributor is listed as this gentleman, Sheldon Traver. So, what's interesting about this is the contributor technically should have been the high school teacher that would have collected the audio or the video that was done during the interview. However, Sheldon Traver was not the teacher. I contacted initially the student interviewer, Natasha, talked to her, and she confirmed that she was, in fact, the Natasha that did the interview with my grandfather. And she was pretty excited to hear that the documentary utilized that interview. I knew that she would want to know. But then I thought, the teacher needs to know because this project is huge. It's a lot of work to do because oftentimes you're teaching the conflict. Basically, when I did the project for 2 years with my high school students, we did it for Vietnam veterans, and I taught a unit on Vietnam. I trained my students how to do the interviews. I gave them the information on what kind of questions to ask, taught them how to use the technology to collect the interviews. I hosted the students and the veterans in my classroom. We scheduled the interviews. So as you can see, I understand the project and all the work that went into it. And I thought, this teacher needs to know 13 years after the fact that the fruits of their labor were kind of paid off, that this particular interview, and maybe others, we don't even know, were featured in this documentary. So the contributor was wrong. It wasn't the teacher. I talked to the gentleman, Sheldon, through Facebook, and he does do the project with his own students up in Oregon. He was never down in our area at all in California and was not associated, of course, with my grandfather's interview. So it's a mistake in the cataloging through the Library of Congress. So then I'm like, well, we need to figure out who this teacher is. So I'm talking to the student interviewer, and she told me that, it's been a number of years. She didn't recall the name of the teacher. She just knew it was a male teacher. So I put out an appeal on social media, and I asked my local friends for help. Do you know anyone through Chico High that was associated with the history department? Because most likely it would have been the history teachers that did this. I was notified by a friend that she knew the wife of a retired history teacher. I was convinced that this was the gentleman. We talked back and forth, the wife and myself, and she relayed information from her husband. Come to find out, he did not continue doing the project into 2004. So I hit a wall. But she gave me the name of a female teacher that was involved with the project at the time. And so this teacher is no longer teaching. She's a grant writer in the district. So I was able to track her down. We spoke, had a great conversation, and she told me of another gentleman that did the Veterans History Project around that time, and he is now at our local university. And she was able to pass on his email address to me, gave him a heads up that I would be contacting him, and I've sent an email and I'm waiting to hear back. I've not heard back whether he could be the teacher. The big thing is if he did the project in 2004. That's what we're trying to figure out. So, why the big deal? I want to extend a huge thank you from myself and my family for this teacher putting in all of the work and effort. And I also really want to highlight the importance of this project. Every year we lose thousands of World War II veterans because of their age. And this project is so important. And it's not just about the World War II veterans, but it's about veterans from all conflicts. Any firsthand account in any conflict is valuable information, and they should be collected and they should be cataloged so that they can be pulled and utilized within the Library of Congress. And basically, when they're collected for that purpose, they can be used for anything, including a documentary, which I think is really cool. So my family's been blessed. It was like a gift to know that, we always knew my grandfather was special. Everybody feels that way about their grandfather, but special, and he was highlighted in this documentary in a way. And if you'd like to check it out, definitely go ahead and put his name into that search engine and listen. It's about 45 minutes long, but he tells a great story. It's worth listening to. And so just on that note, if you know anyone that's associated with Chico High, especially the history department, I am determined to solve this mystery. I'd love to hear from you. Also, local people, if you can share this, it's really a big deal. And I think it's pretty newsworthy as well, because it's not every day that you hear about this kind of a thing happening. And as I've been able to share with the teachers that did the project, they weren't the ones specifically involved with my grandfather's interview, but the two teachers I've been able to share with from Chico High, they have been so pleased to hear. It's true, a lot of teachers don't get a lot of appreciation or credit for the hard work that they do. A lot of people don't. So at this holiday season, I hope that you extend appreciation to veterans, extend appreciation to teachers, extend appreciation to the UPS guys. 5:30 in the morning this morning, delivering a package. Everybody could use a little love, extra love and appreciation this time of the season. All right, you guys, hope you enjoyed the story. Stay tuned because the mystery is going to be solved. I'm going to find out who that teacher is. All right, love you guys. Bye.